Captain Alex Rivers walked slowly across the dusty plains of Talora 9, a human-colonized planet at the edge of the Andari sector. The twin suns were beginning to set, casting a warm, orange glow over the jagged rocks and scattered metallic structures. Alex liked this time of day. It made the planet feel calm, even safe. But deep down, he knew safety was an illusion in a place like this. Humans had learned that lesson over and over again. He paused at the edge of a shallow canyon, scanning the horizon with his handheld sensor. The device beeped softly, detecting nothing unusual. Still, his instincts told him to be cautious. He had learned the hard way that sometimes what you don't see is far more dangerous than what you do. From the corner of his eye, he noticed a movement subtle, almost imperceptible. He turned sharply, but the sensor showed nothing. He frowned. Perhaps it was just a shadow, the way the suns were angled. Then he saw her, a figure, small and delicate, standing atop a nearby rock formation. She was not human. Her skin had a soft, bluish glow, and her eyes were unusually large, shimmering like liquid violet. She wore a simple, flowing outfit that seemed almost ceremonial, but it was clear she could move freely in it. Alex's first instinct was to step back. The last few encounters with alien species had taught him that beauty did not equal safety. Some species were clever, some were hostile, and some were unpredictable in ways humans could never fully understand. The girl tilted her head, studying him. There was no hostility in her gaze, only curiosity. She raised one hand slightly. A small, polite gesture of greeting. Alex froze. His heart pounded. He had faced warships, rogue explorers, and planetary storms that could shred a human in seconds. Yet this small, alien girl made him more tense than any of them. She's alone, he muttered to himself. She's not dangerous. She's just watching. He adjusted his stance, making sure his weapon was holstered, but within reach. Slowly, he called out, "Hello? Are you lost?" The girl's lips moved, forming words he could not understand. Her voice was melodic, almost musical, and the tone was not angry or demanding. She seemed thoughtful. Alex took a cautious step forward, trying to seem non-threatening. "I don't understand your language," he said. "Can you understand me?" She blinked, then stepped down from her rock, moving with grace. To Alex's surprise, she produced a small device, similar to a translator, and pointed it toward herself. A soft, synthetic voice spoke in human English. "I am Lyra," the voice said. "I have watched you for many days. You avoid me. Why?" Alex stiffened. He did not expect the question to be so direct. Avoid her? Of course. He had been cautious. He always kept his distance from alien species, unless necessary. Some humans would call it fear. He preferred the word caution. I don't avoid you," he said carefully. I don't know you, and I have to be careful." Lyra's large eyes narrowed slightly, but there was no anger. "You are afraid," she said plainly. "Afraid of what I might be. Afraid of what I might do." Alex swallowed. She was right, though it hurt to admit. He had spent years training for danger, learning to judge threats before they acted. But Lyra, she seemed so small, so young, so different, and yet, the fear remained, deep in his chest. "I suppose," he admitted. "But fear is not bad. It keeps me alive. And it keeps you safe too." Lyra tilted her head again, as if pondering his words. Then, she smiled faintly. Though it was not a human smile, it was something deeper, almost like understanding. "You think I am weak," she said softly. "You think I cannot protect myself." Alex shook his head quickly. "No, it's not that. You are not weak. I've had bad experiences. I've learned to expect danger. I don't want to take chances." Her eyes seemed to study him even more intently. "Do you think all aliens are dangerous?" "Some are," he admitted reluctantly. Some are, and some, well, I just don't know. So I stay cautious. Lyra considered him silently for a moment. Then, with a small nod, she stepped closer, maybe 10 feet away. I will not hurt you, she said. I want to understand you, and you want to avoid me. But why? Alex's chest tightened. He wanted to answer honestly, but how could he explain years of fear and caution to someone who had only ever known trust? He wanted to tell her that he had lost friends to alien attacks, that he had witnessed entire colonies destroyed because someone trusted the wrong being. But those words would sound harsh, even cruel, to someone like her. Instead, he chose silence, looking away, trying to keep his composure. Lyra did not step back. She simply waited, her glowing eyes watching, patient. Alex could feel her curiosity pressing against his defenses, gently but insistently. Finally, he spoke. I avoid because I care. It may sound strange, but if I get too close too soon, someone could get hurt. I don't want that to happen. Not to you. Not to me. Lyra's expression softened slightly. You care. In your own way. You protect even by staying away. Yes, Alex said quietly. Sometimes protection means distance. The two stood in silence, watching the twin suns dip lower behind the rocky horizon. The wind carried dust across the plains, and the metallic structures of the human outpost reflected the fading light. For the first time, Alex felt a flicker of connection to someone who was not human, and it both frightened and intrigued him. Lyra tilted her head, looking at him with those large violet eyes. I will not leave, she said softly. I want to learn. I want to understand. But you must let me try. Even if it is hard. Alex nodded slowly, unsure of what to say. His instincts urged him to keep his distance, to maintain control of the situation. Yet another part of him, curious, stubborn, human, wanted to see what this girl could teach him. He took a cautious step closer, still keeping a safe distance. All right, he said finally. You can observe. But you must follow the rules. No wandering off. No touching dangerous equipment. And stay visible at all times. Lyra's small hand moved slightly in acknowledgement. I will follow. But I do not understand why you fear me. You see me, and yet you avoid me, Alex sighed. It was true. He had avoided her, not out of dislike, but out of habit and instinct. Because you are different, he said honestly, and different can be dangerous. That's what I've learned. But maybe I need to see things differently. For a moment, the plains felt quiet, almost peaceful. The suns had dipped lower, casting long shadows across the canyon, and the first stars began to appear. Alex found himself studying Lyra more closely. She was intelligent, perceptive, and not at all what he had expected from an alien observer. He realized then that his own caution was a barrier, not just for him, but for her too. By avoiding her, he had prevented any real connection from forming. And yet, the thought of letting someone so unfamiliar into his life, it was both terrifying and exciting. Lyra tilted her head, as if sensing his thoughts. You can choose, she said softly. Avoid me, or let me stay. But know this, I will not harm you. And I will try to understand you. Even if you do not understand me. Alex nodded again, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. He had faced countless dangers in his life. Storms, alien attacks, rogue explorers, and yet this small alien girl had stirred something he had not expected. A desire to connect, to learn, to trust. All right, he said finally, his voice calm but firm. You can stay. But we take this one step at a time. Agreed? Lyra's eyes brightened slightly, and she nodded. Agreed. As the stars began to twinkle above Talora 9, Alex felt a mixture of hope and apprehension. He did not know what lay ahead, but he knew this encounter was the beginning of something important, something that could change not only his life but perhaps the understanding between humans and aliens altogether. For the first time in a long while, he did not feel entirely alone, and for the first time, he wondered if avoiding someone had been the wrong choice all along. The next morning, Captain Alex Rivers woke to the soft hum of the outpost's life support systems. The twin suns had barely risen, casting pale light across the dusty plains of Talora 9. He stretched and rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the lingering unease from the previous day. Lyra had already been awake. Alex noticed her sitting on a nearby rock, her violet eyes reflecting the faint morning light. She watched the horizon with quiet intensity. Her small hands folded neatly in her lap. Alex swallowed. He had expected her to wander off or cause trouble, but she sat patiently, calm, and observant. Part of him admired her discipline. Another part, he still felt the twinge of caution, the instinct that told him to stay alert. "Good morning," he said, his voice steady but gentle. Lyra tilted her head slightly, her musical voice translating through her device. "Good morning, Captain. I hope you rested." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Captain?" he asked lightly, a small smile tugging at his lips. "I think you've learned that quickly." She smiled faintly, her expression almost human in its simplicity. "Titles matter. And you are responsible." "I will remember." Alex nodded, feeling an unexpected warmth. He was still cautious, but her presence no longer caused the sharp edge of fear it had before. There was something honest about her, something pure. He could see it in the way she observed without judgment. "Come on," he said after a moment, moving toward the outpost. "We have work today, and I'll need your help if you want to stay here." Lyra followed silently, her movements graceful, almost like floating. Alex led her through the corridors of the outpost, past the buzzing machinery and glowing monitors. He noticed how careful she was, avoiding any unnecessary contact with equipment, yet observing everything with curiosity. "You pay attention," he said, breaking the silence. "I want to learn," she replied simply. Alex stopped and looked at her. "Learning is good, but be careful. Mistakes here can get people hurt. Or worse." Lyra nodded, her violet eyes steady. "I understand. But I am not fragile. I can help. You will see." Alex studied her, noting the confidence in her words. He still felt protective, but he could not deny that she had potential. Maybe more than he had first realized. Their first task of the day was simple on paper: scan a nearby canyon for mineral deposits that could be used to repair human equipment. Alex had expected it to be routine, but Talora 9 had a way of making the ordinary unpredictable. As they stepped outside, the sunlight illuminated the rough, jagged terrain. The wind carried fine dust across the plains, and Alex shielded his eyes, scanning for movement. Lyra moved beside him, her small frame surprisingly steady on the uneven ground. She seemed to glide effortlessly, never slipping or faltering. Alex could not help but be impressed. "Stay close," he instructed. "The canyon is deeper than it looks, and we don't know if the cliffs are stable." "I will stay close," she said, her tone calm but firm. As they approached the canyon's edge, Alex activated his scanner. It hummed softly, sending out waves that mapped the terrain below. The readings were uneven. Some areas looked rich with minerals, while others were unstable. Lyra peered over his shoulder, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Those rocks near the eastern slope," she said. "They are loose. If you step there, it will shift." Alex froze. He had almost stepped directly onto one of the loose rocks. He looked at her in surprise. "How did you know?" "How did you know?" Lyra smiled faintly. "I observe. I watch. Even humans sometimes miss what is in front of them." Alex nodded, impressed. "Good eyes. That will save both of us." They moved carefully along the canyon, scanning the terrain and marking the areas suitable for mining. Lyra's guidance was invaluable. She pointed out unstable patches, suggested safer paths, and even helped him adjust the scanner to detect hidden cavities where minerals might be concentrated. For the first time, Alex realized that her presence was not just tolerable, it was helpful. More than helpful, in fact. She had a way of seeing things he might have overlooked, a perspective that combined intelligence with intuition. As they worked, Alex began to talk, testing the waters of conversation. "So, Lyra, what brings you to this part of the sector? Are you exploring, or is this your home?" Lyra paused, thinking carefully. "This is not my home. I come from a distant planet. But I am curious about humans. I observe. I want to understand how you think, how you act." Alex nodded slowly. "Observation is good. But don't you ever get lonely?" She looked at him, her eyes reflective. "Sometimes. But observation is not loneliness. It is learning. And I like learning about you humans. You are strange. But also capable of great things." Alex smiled faintly, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "We do try," he said softly. Their work continued for hours. The sun climbed higher, beating down on the canyon floor. Alex could feel fatigue setting in, but Lyra remained steady, helping him carry small equipment and pointing out areas he needed to scan more carefully. Then, without warning, a sudden tremor shook the canyon floor. Rocks shifted. Dust billowed into the air. And Alex stumbled, catching himself just in time. "Careful!" he shouted. Lyra's eyes widened, but she reacted quickly. She grabbed a nearby strap of equipment, stabilizing a scanner that had nearly fallen, and then moved to a safe position beside Alex. The tremor lasted only a few seconds, but it was enough to remind Alex of the dangers of Talora 9. "That was close," he muttered, scanning the ground. "This canyon is more unstable than I thought." Lyra studied the rocks and then pointed to a narrow ledge. "We can move along that path. It is safer. But we must be cautious." Alex nodded. "Lead the way." Together, they moved along the ledge, careful with every step. Lyra's guidance made the path manageable, and Alex realized that his initial caution, his instinct to avoid her, had been unnecessary. Not because the danger was gone, but because she was capable, reliable, and attentive. After several tense minutes, they reached a flat area where the scanners showed rich deposits of minerals. Alex set up the equipment, and Lyra helped adjust the calibration. The readings were clear. This location was valuable. Alex exhaled, a mixture of relief and admiration in his chest. "We make a good team," he admitted. Lyra tilted her head, a small smile on her face. "I told you. You would see." Alex laughed softly. "Yes, you were right." For the next hour, they continued their work, carefully marking deposits, collecting samples, and recording data. Alex found himself talking more freely with Lyra, explaining human methods, discussing the scanner technology, and even sharing small anecdotes from his past missions. She listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions and occasionally offering insights that made him reconsider his own assumptions. By the time they were ready to return to the outpost, the sun was low in the sky again, casting long shadows across the canyon. Alex felt a sense of accomplishment, not just for the work they had done, but for the bond that was quietly forming between them. "You did well today," he said, looking at her. "I was surprised at how much you helped." Lyra smiled. "I told you I could help. And you trusted me. Even if a little." "That is important." Alex nodded. "It is. I think I underestimated you before. Not because you are alien, but because I didn't know you. And I wanted to protect both of us." Lyra studied him for a long moment. "Protection is not always distance," she said softly. "Sometimes it is sharing, cooperating, and understanding. You will learn this, if you let yourself." Alex considered her words. For the first time, he wondered if his instinct to avoid had been holding him back, not protecting him. Maybe connection trust was just as important as caution. As they walked back to the outpost, the stars began to appear in the darkening sky. Alex glanced at Lyra, her silhouette small but confident beside him. He felt a sense of hope, a sense of curiosity about what the future might hold, not just for their work, but for their understanding of each other. Talora 9 was dangerous, unpredictable, and alien. But with Lyra by his side, Alex felt something he had not felt in a long time. The possibility that humans and aliens could learn from one another. That trust could form even in the most unlikely places. And for the first time, he allowed himself to imagine a future where fear did not dictate his choices, where curiosity, courage, and compassion guided him instead. The next evening, Captain Alex Rivers sat on a flat rock just outside the outpost. The twin suns now low on the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of gold and violet. Talora 9 was quiet at this hour. The wind soft against his face, carrying the scent of dry earth and distant minerals. Lyra approached silently, as she often did, her violet eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. She stopped a few feet away and watched him. Alex noticed her patience, her calm demeanor, and he felt a strange mix of respect and unease. "Lyra," he said finally, his voice quiet. "We need to talk." She tilted her head slightly. "About what?" she asked, her voice gentle but curious. Alex took a deep breath. He had been putting this off for days, struggling to find the words to explain something that had long weighed on him. Avoiding her had not been easy, nor had it been simple. The truth was buried in years of caution, fear, and experience, but he knew he could not hide it any longer. "It's about why I avoided you," he began. "Not because I didn't want to talk, not because I don't care. I avoided you because I was afraid. Afraid of what might happen. Afraid of making a mistake that could hurt you or me." Lyra's large eyes blinked slowly, absorbing his words. She didn't interrupt, didn't judge. She simply waited, and that made it easier for him to continue. "I've been around humans and aliens for most of my life," he said. "I've seen things. Bad things. I've seen friends lost, colonies destroyed, and mistakes that cost lives. And after a while, you learn to be cautious. You learn to keep your distance until you are sure it's safe. That's what I did. That's why I avoided you." Lyra studied him closely. "So, your avoidance was not because of dislike? Not because you thought I was weak or unimportant?" Alex shook his head quickly. "No, not at all. It was never that. I wanted to protect both of us. I didn't want anyone to get hurt, and sometimes the safest choice seems like keeping distance. But I see now that it can be misunderstood, and I see now it can hurt the person you want to protect, too." Lyra's expression softened, the faintest smile appearing on her face. "I understand," she said. "You were cautious. You wanted to protect. That is, human. I can see that now, but you did not trust me enough to let me understand you. That surprised me." Alex rubbed the back of his neck. "I know. I see that now too. I underestimated you. And I was afraid of underestimating you. It's complicated." Lyra moved a little closer, her eyes never leaving his. "It is human to be cautious," she said, "but it is also human to connect, to trust, to share. You cannot protect someone by keeping them at a distance forever. You must let them see who you are, even if it is hard. Also. Alex felt a lump in his throat. She was right, of course. All his life, he had relied on caution, instinct, and careful planning. But Lyra had shown him another way, a way of connection, understanding, and mutual respect. And he realized he wanted to try that, even if it was scary. I want to try," he admitted, his voice quiet. "I want to let you in. I want to trust you, Lyra. But I don't know how. I don't know if I can do it perfectly." Lyra tilted her head, studying him with her large, perceptive eyes. "You do not need to be perfect," she said softly. "You need to try. That is enough. Trying shows courage. And courage is human." "I admire that." For a long moment, they sat in silence, watching the twin suns sink below the horizon. The wind carried the faint scent of minerals and earth, and the sky began to fill with stars. Alex realized that silence did not feel empty or awkward with Lyra. It felt comforting. Finally, he spoke again. "I avoided you because I was afraid. But I see now that my fear was holding both of us back, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to understand you, to learn from you, and, maybe, to let you see who I really am." Lyra's small smile grew a little. "That is enough," she said. "You do not need to explain more. Your words, they matter. They are honest. And honesty is rare. Even among humans." Alex nodded slowly. He felt a lightness he hadn't felt in years. Sharing his truth, admitting his fear, had not made him weaker. It had made him feel human, connected, and free. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for waiting, for listening, for giving me a chance to say this." Lyra looked at him with those thoughtful violet eyes. "I do not judge you for your caution," she said. "I see your care. And now, I see your courage. You chose to speak, even when it was difficult. That is admirable." Alex smiled faintly, feeling a warmth spread through him. For the first time, he realized that trust was not about being fearless, it was about facing fear and acting anyway. As the stars shone brighter in the Talora 9 sky, Alex and Lyra began to walk back toward the outpost. The air was cool, and the shadows stretched long across the dusty plains. Yet there was a sense of peace between them. A quiet understanding that neither needed to force words or actions. "Tomorrow," Alex said after a while, "we will continue our scans. I want you to help me map the Eastern Canyon. It's dangerous, but I think, with your help, we can do it safely." 40 SPB. Lyra's eyes brightened. "I will help. I will follow your instructions, but I will also share what I see. Together, we can accomplish more." Alex nodded, appreciating her confidence and intelligence. "Exactly. That's the point. Teamwork, cooperation, learning from one another." They reached the outpost as the night fully settled in. The twin suns gone and the stars sparkling vividly across the sky. Alex paused at the entrance, glancing at Lyra. "You know, I thought avoiding you would keep things simple. I see now that avoiding someone can also prevent growth, and I don't want to grow without understanding you." Lyra tilted her head and smiled faintly. "Then we will grow together, step by step, learning from each other. That is better than avoiding." Alex felt a small, genuine laugh escape him. "You're right. I don't know why I didn't see it before. I was so focused on keeping us safe that I forgot. Connection is part of safety too. Understanding one another. That matters more than distance." Lyra nodded. "Humans are strange," she said softly, almost teasing. "But also wonderful. You have courage. And you care. That is rare. Even among your species." Alex felt a warmth in his chest he hadn't realized he needed. "Thank you, Lyra, for helping me see that, for giving me a chance. I won't forget it." She smiled, a small but sincere expression that made Alex feel something he couldn't quite describe: respect, trust, and a sense of shared purpose all mixed together, stronger than any fear or caution he had ever carried. As they entered the outpost together, the night around Talora 9 felt alive with possibilities. Alex realized that his journey with Lyra was just beginning. They would face dangers, yes, storms, rocky terrain, and perhaps unexpected challenges from the alien world, but they would face them together, as a team. And for the first time, Alex Rivers felt that avoiding someone was not the same as protecting them. Sometimes, protection came from openness, honesty, and courage. Sometimes, it came from letting someone see your fear and still choosing to act. Lyra had already taught him that lesson, and he knew there were more lessons to come. The night sky stretched endlessly above them, stars shining like distant beacons of hope. Alex glanced at Lyra one last time before entering the outpost. She looked back, her violet eyes thoughtful, her expression calm and knowing. He realized then that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would not face them alone. And that knowledge, that bond, was more valuable than any mineral, any discovery, or any precaution. For the first time in a long while, Captain Alex Rivers felt ready not just to explore Talora 9, but to explore the potential of trust, friendship, and understanding across worlds. And with Lyra beside him, he knew that the universe, in all its vastness and unpredictability, might just be a little less lonely than he had ever imagined. The morning on Talora 9 was unusually calm. The twin suns rose slowly over the jagged horizon, their light reflecting off the metallic outpost and bathing the dusty plains in gold. Captain Alex Rivers stepped outside, scanning the sky and the rocky terrain beyond. Today's mission would test not only his skills but the fragile trust he had begun to build with Lyra. Lyra appeared beside him, her small frame moving with her usual grace. Her violet eyes scanned the horizon with intensity. "I have observed something," she said quietly. "In the northern canyon, the rocks are shifting more than usual. There may be danger if we explore it today." Alex nodded, appreciating her insight. "Good eyes, Lyra. That canyon is rich with minerals we need for the outpost repairs. But if it's unstable, we must proceed carefully. Your guidance will be crucial." She tilted her head, thoughtful. "I will guide you. But you must trust my observations fully. Not just partially." Alex met her gaze. Together, they set out, moving cautiously across the dusty plains. Alex carried the scanning equipment, while Lyra adjusted settings and noted changes in the terrain. Their teamwork had grown naturally over the past days. Each action complemented the other. The tension that had defined their first encounters was gone, replaced by a quiet understanding. As they approached the northern canyon, the ground beneath them began to tremble faintly. Alex paused, scanning the area with his sensors. Small rock slides were forming higher up, loose stones tumbling down with soft thuds. "See?" Lyra said, pointing to a ledge above. "The rocks will collapse if we take the usual path. We must find an alternative." Alex nodded. "Lead the way." They carefully followed her suggested route, avoiding the unstable sections. Lyra's knowledge of alien terrain and her keen observation kept them safe, even as the ground shifted beneath their feet. Alex realized that his initial avoidance of her had been unnecessary. Not only was she capable, but her intuition and intelligence often exceeded his expectations. Halfway down the canyon, a sudden tremor shook the ground violently. Dust erupted from the cliffs, and small stones rained down around them. Alex stumbled, catching himself on a jagged rock. "Watch out!" he shouted. Lyra's hand shot out, steadying the scanner Alex carried, and then she guided him to a narrow ledge that was safer. "Move here," she instructed. "Step carefully. Do not rush." Alex followed her directions precisely, his heart pounding in his chest. The tremor lasted only seconds, but it was enough to remind him of the constant danger on Talora 9. Yet, instead of fear, he felt a growing confidence. Lyra had earned his trust, and together, they could navigate even the most unpredictable terrain. Once the tremor subsided, they continued deeper into the canyon. The walls narrowed, and shadows stretched long across the rocky floor. The mineral deposits were here, richer than they had expected. Alex began scanning and recording the locations, while Lyra guided him around unstable rocks and sharp drops. "This way," she said, pointing to a small crevice in the canyon wall. It is hidden from above but stable. The minerals inside are untouched. Alex carefully followed, placing sensors along the path. The crevice contained veins of shimmering crystals, bright and valuable. He examined them, then looked at Lyra. "You've outdone yourself," he said with admiration. "I wouldn't have found this without you." Lyra's small smile brightened her face. "I observed, and I guided. That is enough. But it is good that you acknowledge it. Recognition matters." Alex nodded. "You deserve it." They began collecting samples, placing them carefully in containers. The work was meticulous, requiring patience and precision. Yet, with Lyra's guidance, it proceeded smoothly. Alex marveled at her focus and intelligence. She was more than just an observer. She was a partner, a teacher, and a friend. As they worked, another tremor shook the canyon. This one was stronger, and dust and small rocks fell around them. Alex realized that the canyon was far more unstable than he had anticipated. He glanced at Lyra. "We need to move back," he said, urgency in his voice. "The canyon won't hold if this continues." Lyra's eyes scanned the area. "There is a safer path," she said. "It is narrow, but it will lead us back to the outpost. Follow my lead." Together, they carefully navigated the narrow path. Alex followed every instruction, trusting Lyra completely. The wind whistled through the canyon, and loose stones shifted beneath their feet. But Lyra's calm presence guided him steadily. Finally, they reached a small plateau overlooking the canyon. The tremors had stopped, at least temporarily. Alex exhaled, relief washing over him. "We made it," he said quietly. "Thanks to you." Lyra tilted her head, observing him. "You trusted me. That was important. You did not avoid me, even when danger came. That shows growth." Alex nodded. "I've learned a lot from you, Lyra, about trust, patience, and courage, about seeing beyond fear. You've changed how I look at danger and partnership," she smiled softly. "And you have shown me that humans are capable of great courage, even when afraid. You have shared your thoughts honestly. That matters more than anything else." Alex felt a warmth in his chest he could not describe. For the first time in a long while, he understood the meaning of cooperation, of mutual respect, and of the bond that could form between humans and aliens. It was not just about safety or caution, it was about trust, honesty, and shared experience. They began the journey back to the outpost, the evening air cool against their faces. Alex glanced at Lyra, walking beside him, and felt a deep sense of connection. He realized that avoiding her had been a mistake, not because she was dangerous, but because he had denied himself the chance to learn, to grow, and to trust. "Lyra," he said after a moment, "I want you to know, I will not avoid you again. I want to face challenges together. I want to learn from you, just as you have learned from me." Lyra looked up at him, her violet eyes bright. "And I will do the same. We will face challenges together, step by step, and we will succeed." Alex smiled, feeling a sense of hope that he had not felt in years. "Step by step," he agreed. As they approached the outpost, the night sky stretched endlessly above Talora 9. Stars sparkled like diamonds against the dark canvas, and the twin moons cast soft light across the plains. The outpost stood quiet, its lights welcoming them back after a day of careful exploration. Inside, Alex set down the collected mineral samples and began processing the data. Lyra observed quietly, her presence calm but attentive. They worked side by side, a team in the truest sense, their trust in one another unspoken but strong. When the work was done, Alex leaned back in his chair and looked at Lyra. "You know," he said with a small smile, "I thought avoiding someone was safe. I see now that it can hold you back. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from connection, even when you are afraid." Lyra nodded. "And sometimes, the greatest courage comes from facing fear with someone you trust. We have both learned that." Alex looked out the window at the stars, then back at Lyra. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "Talora 9 has much to teach us. And I want to face it all with you." She smiled, a small but sincere gesture. "And I will be here, watching, learning, helping." Together, outside, the twin moons rose higher, casting a gentle glow over the outpost. The plains of Talora 9 were quiet now, but the adventure that had begun between a cautious human and a curious alien girl had opened a path for understanding, trust, and unexpected friendship. Alex realized that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and sometimes dangerous, but it was also full of potential. Potential for discovery, for learning, and for connection across worlds. And with Lyra beside him, he knew that even the unknown could be faced with courage and hope. For the first time in a long while, Captain Alex Rivers felt truly ready, not just for the challenges of Talora 9, but for whatever the universe might bring. And beside him, Lyra's calm, intelligent presence reminded him that partnership, trust, and courage could overcome even the most uncertain of worlds. As they looked out at the starlit plains, Alex and Lyra shared a quiet moment of understanding. Words were not always necessary. Their shared experience, their trust, and their willingness to face fear together had created a bond stronger than any distance, stronger than any caution, stronger than any challenge Talora 9 could present. The adventure was far from over, but they were ready. Step by step, challenge by challenge, human and alien, they would explore, learn, and grow together. And in that quiet, starlit moment, both understood that avoiding each other had been a mistake. Connection, courage, and trust were far more powerful than fear. And in a universe so wide and unpredictable, that knowledge was everything.